Why am I passionate about Barangila? I think it's based on what we see, the mineral endowment we see it's located in southern Peru, which in my mind is one of the top jurisdictions in Latin America. So, I don't lose any sleep at night regarding any governmental issues that could arise. But I think it's a special deposit, and the reason it's special, it has a significant amount of silver. And I think right now we're largely known as a silver company, fair enough. But number two is it also contains a significant amount of copper, and it has a metal called manganese. Now, historically, manganese was problematic, and it's probably the reason that this deposit is still here, in the sense that previously it was difficult to separate those minerals, copper, silver, and manganese, to recover enough to demonstrate that you could be economic. We are going to use a process that's it's been around for 30 years. It's called hydrometallurgy, and it looks like it works to give us silver doré, a copper concentrate or SX-EW copper if we choose to go that route. And also we're looking at producing a high purity manganese sulfate, which coincidentally is the other reason that this deposit now makes a lot of sense. High purity manganese sulfate is used in the cathode of the EV batteries, and Berenguela could be one of the most significant high purity manganese sulfate deposits globally. And we are going to go straight to pre-feasibility study, and I think a lot of the issues associated with it, we can demonstrate we've crossed those or gone over those hurdles. It had seen our artisanal mining at surface. This deposit starts at surface, so I would say 2% has been mined historically, largely for the high-grade silver. In some cases, historically, it was up to a kilogram of silver at surface, if not more. I think it's special from that point of view. As a standalone silver asset, I think it has merit. The PFS will certainly dictate whether that's true or not, but you also have the copper, and now you have the manganese. We think we can monetize. There's a lot of manganese globally. It's used in the steel industry, but it's ferromanganese, silica-based. In order to be used in the cathodes of the EV batteries, you either need to be carbonate or you have to have an oxide deposit. In our case, we're an oxide deposit, which lends itself to being a high purity, and you need to get to 99.9% purity level. Now, we have done that in our bench level testing, and it's been news released. If you go to our website, you'll see the results. But most manganese deposits like ours tend not to have co-products with them. If you look at, I'd say there's probably 10 to 12 deposits like us globally. I think we might be the only one with these co-metals, copper and silver. That really helps us when you're trying to put these projects into production, because with manganese, there's a lot of testing involved. The commodity itself, it's very bespoke. Every deposit has slightly different chemistry, so you need to demonstrate to the battery manufacturers and the car manufacturers that you have a product that's going to work in their matrix for the battery, and that can take you 12 months, maybe up to 18 months. Now, if you don't have any revenues coming in until that testing is done, that could prove problematic. Fortunately for us, we can put the silver into production, assuming everything's economic, and look, based on what we've put out to date, I'm confident, and the copper. So we will produce silver copper products that will be making our company earnings and money while the manganese is being tested. So it is a competitive advantage, quite frankly. We've just announced we've got Danny Keating as our Chief Operating Officer, mining engineer. He's actually worked with manganese in the past, and he's put a team together of technical people that are top shelf. So we are capable now of putting this into production, but the question begs, do we want to? I would say, as a Canadian, Wayne Gretzky got traded and it was all about money. So we would have to evaluate everything on a basis of if we do get offers. But right now, I think there's enough conviction within the group that we can not only put this into production, we can do processing in the United States, and that's a whole new avenue. So it's almost like having two companies. We have a lot of runway in front of us and a lot of blue sky. As I mentioned earlier, this is the mining cycle we've waited 15 years for. I want to take advantage of it by being able to do those type of things. We certainly have the people that are capable, and that's, half the battle. The other half is having the assets that can go forth like that. And Barangila had a resource prior to us. There's 4,200 meters of drilling, so what's that, or 28 miles of drilling. And then we built up on it. I like to get through the pre-feasibility stage and then make a determination. Do we go to feasibility? Do we look for partners? I will say this. If we're fortunate and we hit on the drilling to the east or find the source of the porphyry, assuming it's economic, or number two is if we make a discovery on the skarn, I think you'd see every major mining company in the globe knocking on our door. Because as I mentioned earlier, I think you have to look at it as a world-class district then. We're expecting drill results shortly on some infill drilling that we've done that was previously a very high-grade silver area. So we're hoping to duplicate those results. We'll have the assays out shortly, and I can confirm that. You'll also see the drilling coming from the skarn deposit. So exciting exploration drilling. You will see our pre-feasibility could be done. We're shooting for Q4. So there'll be some news along the way, and you'll also see us drilling the eastern portion, which should hopefully we can duplicate the previous results, and we'll be looking for the porphyry, which is the home run. And so I think you'll see a lot of news coming out, but you'll also see in the background there's a lot of engineering and processing work being completed. I will say this, 93% of manganese is produced in China. We see an opportunity, and we've had some exploratory talks with people associated with the United States federal government. They're of the belief that the U.S. needs to secure their own manganese supply. So we are initiating talks with the government in the U.S., and we would eventually like some partnership in order to process manganese for the U.S. automobile industry. I think it's the right thing to do, but more importantly, it benefits our shareholders because it's the largest or one of the largest markets on the planet. In the southern United States, there's a lot of battery manufacturers, and there's a lot of EVs being built. So even though overall sales of EVs are down in the U.S., globally they're up. By 2000, I believe it's 40, the majority of all cars will be EVs. So I think it's 50-50 by 2030. So we know what direction we're going. We think we can be at the vanguard, hence our relationship in the U.S. And, we still can go to China if we choose, but, the current price in China is, I think, $1,000. They subsidize there. Their processing facilities are A1. They're great. They know what they're doing. We'd like to have the same thing in the United States, and I think the government agrees with us. David, it's been a pleasure. I hope to be on again.